Introducing Matt, Canadian Matt, Zenith Matt, or maybe ZD Aircraft Engine Matt. Today, I want to share with you the M Matt channel.
I like how this plane climbs.
I came across the Matt channel a few months back, just clicking around on the internet. He's Canadian, a teacher, a flight instructor, and he likes to introduce people into aviation while flying out of his little home airport, Woodstock. He also likes to tinker with new engines. Let's listen in.
Okay, so this is the first circuit with the new engine, and Vicky's crazy enough to come along with me. There's no phase of this flight where I can't get back on the ground, so it's the engine quiz. We should be all right. And we got flaps down, and we're gonna go. Ready to go?
Let's do it.
Woodstock traffic, Mike Echo Mike departing 3-1, remaining in the pattern, Woodstock. A little better. So the RPMs are just a little low.
Okay.
I want them at 55 and they're at 53.
Oh, that's not bad.
So another degree of pitch will fix that.
Right.
And let's just bring it back to 4,800 RPM for now. Oh, look, it stops faster, too, with the new engine.
It really does.
Wait.
Sort of. you don't land any better, though.
Hey, that wasn't bad. Holy crap, that was pretty good.
All right, everybody, I want to introduce you all to somebody I've been following on YouTube. Yes, I also follow others on YouTube as well for some time, and that's Matt. Matt, introduce yourself, your channel name, and where you're at.
Well, I'm Matt, and my YouTube channel is Matt, and where I'm at is Woodstock. So Woodstock, New Brunswick, Canada. There's also a Woodstock, Ontario. Lots of people get that confused, but I'm in Woodstock, New Brunswick. That's on the east coast of Canada, right next to Maine. So I'm actually about 10 miles from the U.S. border. So that's not too far away from you guys. I mean, you're just across the border, right? Because you're in the States.
Yeah, I mean,
we could probably meet up for coffee. Like you're just like America's not that big, is it?
Well, I'm in Florida, so I'm not quite on the line, but.
Oh, all right, fine.
But your airport, you fly with Snoopy being there in Woodstock, huh?
Yeah, here, and actually we have a yellow plane, a Kit Fox with Snoopy on the tail because Woodstock. You got to have it.
Makes sense to me. And I've seen some of your videos where you're going flying, and like you have to be careful not to accidentally cross the border. That's how close you are. That's
right. Yep. And we aren't allowed to cross the border. We can if we're in contact with air traffic control. So we got to get a hold of Boston Center, I think. But in order to land over there, we actually have to file a flight plan, and there's a whole bunch of paperwork to do to land on the other side. But we can fly across the border if we want to, but I just never contact them. So I go right up to the border and kind of like taunt the F-16s, like, "Hey, come get me."
They couldn't fly slow enough to come alongside you, so
they'd have to send helicopters, I think.
Yeah. Well, like I said, everybody, Matt's been a content creator for quite some time, puts out really good edited videos, high quality video, and has adventures with his plane. So I want to bring him on and talk shop a little bit. Well, first of all, let's back up just for a minute. How long have you been in aviation?
Since '98.
And what have you flown over the past several years?
What have I flown? What haven't I flown?
Okay.
I've got a lot of experience in a lot of single engine land airplanes. I don't have any experience in multi or anything turbine powered. Everything's piston powered, but I'm a commercial pilot. I have a flight instructor rating, so I teach people how to fly. I also have an ultralight instructor rating, so I teach people how to fly ultralights. Now, I know in America, ultralights mean something completely different than in Canada. When I say the word ultralight, think LSA.
Okay.
So our ultralight rules, we don't have an Part 103 style ultralight in Canada. All aviation is registered, and you are permitted or licensed for anything that flies. So we don't have just hop in a plane and go like an ultralight. So our ultralights, they call them ultralights, but it's really LSAs. Anything that's 2 seats or less, 1,200 pounds gross weight or less, and a stall speed of 45 miles an hour or less. And that's an ultralight up here.
So in our terms, would this be your first experimental, or have you owned others like this before?
So I have a Beaver RX 550, which is also prominent on the channel. That's what that was my second plane, I guess. I initially started off with a Chinook, which I can show you on. Well, you guys probably know what Chinooks are anyway because of what's his name there? Dan. Yeah.
Dan Reynolds. Yes, Dan Reynolds.
Dan Reynolds, yeah. So this is a Chinook here. This isn't the one that I started off in. The one that I started off with is sold, but I started off in one of these, and then I got the Beaver, and then now I'm into the Zenith 701. So I do still have the Beaver though, so I do still fly that from time to time when the weather is nice.
Awesome. So on the Zenith, did you build it, or acquire it?
Acquired it.
Okay.
This was actually built in the U.S. initially, hence the big old star on the side of the fuselage, which I think looks awesome, but whatever.
Sure.
So it was initially built in the U.S. and then imported into Canada. And once it was in Canada, it changed hands a couple of times until it ended up in my hands.
Nice. Now, when you got this, you were originally flying behind a different engine before you decided to re-engine. And what was that, and what was it like to fly with that?
So it came with the Jabiru 2200, and this engine choice, I'm certain, was inspired by its low cost. When you compare it to the Rotax offering, the Jabiru offering is quite a bit less expensive to get the plane going. And if you're not interested in super stols type flying, the Jabiru engine does okay. It's not amazing by any stretch, but it's certainly adequate. You can see that when this plane was built, they built it without the leading edge slats. They covered the holes right up with rivets and painted right over it. So there's no leading edge slats on here like a 701 would normally have. So I'm guessing whoever bought it wasn't interested in stole flying. So the Jabiru made sense for them, I guess, but it didn't make sense for me. It climb, like if I was by myself and it was really low density altitude and really cold and it had a really good headwind, I could climb like 500 feet a minute.
All right, I'm gonna pop in here real quick to talk about our sponsors. As you know, I can't do this all on my own. We got to have somebody to help fuel that truck. We try really hard to work with sponsors that provide a good service and a good quality product. So let's talk about those guys right now. Dynon Avionics at Dynon.com, the premier provider of glass panel avionics systems for experimental and light sport aircraft. Wide Open Door Company at WideOpenDoorCo.com, your premier destination for high-quality doors, including aircraft hangar doors. Warp Drive Propellers at WarpDriveInc.com, providing quality, solid carbon fiber propellers for many light sport and experimental aircraft. South Mississippi Light Aircraft at FlySMLA.com, an independent master repair center and a training facility for Rotax engines. Edge Performance at EdgePerformance.no, specializing in fuel injection conversions, performance upgrades, and complete engines for your aircraft. Pioneer Control Grips at PioneerControlGrips.com. Comfort, convenience, and style. Handcrafted custom wooden grips with many styles to choose from. And visit our website at ExperimentalAircraftChannel.com for new videos and easy-to-navigate playlists and so much more. Speaking of fueling that truck, if you guys want to join us on our Patreon page, become patrons of this channel, just search on Patreon for Experimental Aircraft Channel. Sign up at several different levels, and at certain levels we even have scheduled video meetings once a month, so check that out. So you've had this since, I think you said, last February, and then you decided in the summertime to re-engine for some more power.
That's it. Yeah. So we got it. It was February or March last year. I don't remember which. I bought it on skis. When I got it, I had to fly it back on skis because we had so much snow last year. But then, yeah, we decided to go with a different engine. The Jabiru just wasn't cutting it, and we wanted to go up. We wanted to play stole. We wanted to play, play out in the woods and stuff. So we wanted some more power. So we looked at the 912 series, and they're expensive. we also wanted to see what other options were out there. And this ZD C100 engine, the dealer was just one province over. It was already here in Canada. The price was amazing. It was a third the price of what a similar Rotax would cost. So I was like, yeah, whatever, let's try it. So we did, and there it is. And so far, so good. It's working awesome.
Nice, nice. Yeah, everybody. So I think Matt is the first in like the continent, if you will, to own and be flying this engine. More on that on another episode. But yeah, so far you're right at the 50-hour mark on this engine.
Right at the 50-hour mark. I think I ticked over to 52 hours on yesterday's flight. So it's time for its second oil change, but that's coming up real soon. And those 50 hours have been trouble-free aside from carburetor tweaking for the different temperatures that we experience in Canada.
And you've thrown this poor little engine right into severe inclemental weather with your temperatures up there, huh? No like slight warm up. Like we're gonna throw you right into the ice storm, buddy.
Yeah, no, we haven't been nice to it. It's very cold up here in the wintertime. We actually have a diesel powered heater that we've rigged up on the sled. So I can drag this over and I can turn it on and it'll heat up the engine up, for the preheat. It does a pretty good job. But yeah, no, we definitely have subjected to all of its temperature ranges.
But that's good. That's good for a new engine, and people are wanting to learn about it. You're putting it through its paces, if you will, for sure.
Absolutely. One of the things that I was worried about with this engine, because several others at the airport here have 701s, well, not several others, but there are other 701s here with 912s in them. And I have flown in them quite a bit, and their warm-up time when it's cold out is significant, sometimes upwards of 15 minutes to get the oil up to 120 Fahrenheit, which is what Rotax recommends before you go in full power. And I didn't like the idea of sitting around for 15 minutes to warm up the engine, so I put an oil thermostat on it. And the longest I've had to warm up my engine is 6 minutes. From minus 10 Celsius, so what's that? 25-ish Fahrenheit to 120 Fahrenheit in 6 minutes with thermostat on. So
you have a thermostat on the water and the oil then?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. I have one on I have the Thermobob is the one that's on the radiator on the coolant system, and then I have whatever aircraft spruce cells, the nice looking aluminum machined one for the oil, and it works great.
Can I assume there's some type of bypass on the oil that it's still getting oil through it regardless? It just restricts some of it to okay.
Yeah, so both of the thermostat installations include a bypass for the coolant and for the oil. So it is impossible to block the oil. Whether the thermostat half opens or only opens one way or only opens the other way, there's always a path for the oil to go. So it cannot fail. It can't fail in the closed position.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, so what else? What do you do? People often ask me. I do these interviews, and they're always curious of what people do for a living. So what do you do when you're not flying your 701?
I am, I guess, what the Americans would call a teacher's assistant. So in Canada, we call it an educational assistant. So I'm the extra adult in a classroom, and I'm in grade 4 this year. So right up my alley, because that's as smart as I am. I only ever got to grade 4, but I help the kids in the classroom that just need a little extra help. So I'm an educational assistant.
Okay, and on the side, you do some flight instruction.
Yep. So like I said, I have a commercial pilot's license with a flight instructor rating. So I teach people how to fly in a Cessna 150 and a Cessna 172. And then I also have my ultralight flight instructor rating, which lets me teach people how to fly ultralights up here in Canada as well.
Okay. And the other question people ask often, seeing people build airplanes or maintain airplanes, is what kind of mechanical background do you have that gives you the confidence to work on an airplane?
Zero.
Okay. Well, at least you're honest.
Growing up, I guess I tinkered a little bit with my dad on the lawnmowers and stuff. If they weren't working, I would help, troubleshoot spark plugs and, put more gas in it if, that was the problem kind of thing. But I didn't grow up with my hands dirty on wrenches all the time. I kind of got into that while I was learning how to fly, and learning how airplanes worked was what kind of made me interested in the mechanical aspect of it. I actually ended up building airplanes for a while. I worked for Dynon in London, Ontario. So I built the Dynon DA-20 and the DA-40 for probably 2 or 3 years. So I got quite a bit of experience working on airplanes then as well. But you don't need that. It's nuts and bolts. If you can turn a wrench and you can follow instructions, you're good to go. Like
See,
it's
everybody,
not.
there's Matt's proof right there, from zero to hero, right? If you can work on lawnmower engines, you can work on airplanes.
I don't know if I'd say hero, but yeah, definitely. Anybody can do it. Like it really is not hard. It's daunting at first. You the first time you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna do something. You know, you got the nerves, right? So am I gonna do this right? But like I said, if you can follow instructions and operate basic hand tools, nothing is impossible building these planes.
Awesome. Well, since you're there in your hangar and you're able to do a walk around with this, I would normally do this in person. So I
Sure.
apologize to everybody. This is not my norm, but he is in Canada and I'm in Florida, and we're able
Come on,
to
man, just hop up. Just drive up. It's real quick.
right, right. So what since you've purchased this 701, what modifications, if any, have you done to either personalize it or to improve it mechanically or flight characteristics or whatnot? What's talk us through it.
Sure. So when I got it, of course, we changed the engine. It came with the Jabiru 2200. So that was a major retrofit that we did. We changed the engine, but we talked about that in another episode, so I won't get into that more. It
Sure.
came it came with the standard 16-inch tires. Does this thing zoom? Oh, it does zoom. Look at that. So those are the size of tires that the 701 came with, and we didn't like them. They were a little bit too small. I keep saying we. I should mention Brent. Brent is my not so silent partner on the
Okay.
plane. Anyway, so he helps out quite a bit with the everything with the plane. Anyway, we wanted to be able to land somewhere more challenging than what those tires would allow. So we put the 21-inch tires on all the
Nice.
way around, so front and back.
Nice.
Those are just straight from Zenith, so easy peasy bolt on. Same rims and everything. What we had to do up here was it needed a larger front fork. So we had to
Sure.
get the larger front fork to fit the front tire. And what that does is you can see the plane kind of sits a little nose high
Yeah,
because the front fork adds that extra couple of inches, right? But we like that because that gives us a little extra clearance on the propeller.
sure. And it gives
So
you a better proper stance for a departure.
absolutely. Yep. So we did that. I talked about earlier how it did not come with slats. So we didn't take those off, but had they come with it, everything I've read indicates that you're almost better off taking the slats off and putting the VGs on instead. So I was really happy to find out that this one already had that done. So that was nice. The stall speed on this is off the airspeed indicator. I can't really tell you what it is. It's
Okay.
down around 20. Like it's not very fast.
Sure.
The tail, we added this tail skid because the tie down that was here was bent and damaged, and you can see the bottom of the rudder has different color rivets
Hmm.
because somebody smashed a tail on the ground before I got it and had to rebuild it. And we're like, we don't want to do that again. We're going to be flying aggressively. So we put this on the bottom. So now I can smash the tail down as hard as I want with no damage. We changed some lights out on it, but really, other than that, it's how we got it. It's very stock from the factory. We do have some streamlined struts that we're going to be putting on probably this summer, so that's going to hopefully pick up another 5 miles an hour of cruise. But otherwise, I mean, it's not a plane that's supposed to go fast, right? It's supposed to go slow, so we're not too worried about going fast, but you know, why not?
Sure, sure. That's awesome. No, it looks it's a good looking airplane, and the tires do well for that as well. Talk to everybody about where you fly from Woodstock out to your adventures, and well, of course, we'll show some clips from some of your flying. But where do you typically? Where's your go-to spots for this airplane?
Well, anywhere I want. It's nice that way because I really can land pretty much anywhere. I've landed on islands in the river. I've landed on farm roads. I've landed in hay fields, pastures, any grass strip around here. I've hit every grass strip in a 100-mile radius probably. I like to play off field. I don't like to be just flying around up high. I want to be down low, playing down in the dirt and having a lot of fun that way. So that's the kind of flying I've always wanted to do, and this was the perfect airplane for it.
Now, did you work your way up to that, I assume, by practicing on the grass at your home airport, and then once you found your parameters, then fly out, or what was that
Yeah,
like?
absolutely. And it was nerve-wracking the first time I landed somewhere other than an airport, right? Because you're not supposed to land places other than airports. It was always drilled into you, but yeah, you can, and you just have almost every time I land somewhere new, I've been there on foot. already, and I've checked it out. There are a few exceptions to that, like the islands. I can't really get out to the islands and check them on foot, so I do really low passes, nice and slow, a lot of touch and goes, just drag the wheels, check things out very carefully. Anytime I do low level flying down below treetop height, I've been scouting those fields for flights and flights to check for obstacles, challenging terrain, power lines. Like there's so many things you can fly into when you're down low. You have to be super, super careful. And I am. I don't want to get hurt doing this, and I don't want to hurt anybody else. So I try to be a good example by not doing anything dangerous, but I still want to have my adventures, right?
Sure. Now, prior to this, you shared there that you got that Chinook. Was that pretty much your transition training, having flown that? Was it an easy transition from that into this, or
No.
no?
No. So I initially started off learning to fly back in '98 in a Cessna 150 and Cessna 172. So most of my experience is in general aviation. I then had a whole bunch of hours logged in DA-20s, the Diamonds. When I was in London, Ontario, I worked towards my commercial license there. So a lot of the planes that I flew were the general aviation, regular full-size airplanes, if you will. But I came to realize that I was never going to own one. They're way too expensive. I don't have the budget for that. So how can I get into flying for less money? And it was ultralights. And I always liked the idea of flying low and slow. So I was like, okay, well, let's get into the Chinook here and try it out. It's way different. Ultralights, like and LSAs of this design, are way different than Cessnas and Pipers and Beechcraft and all those other large full-size airplanes. There's no inertia. There's so much drag. When you pull the power back, you're slowing down right now. Like you have to basically fly the plane onto the ground if you're going to come in shallow, or you have to come in really steep to make sure you have enough energy to get your flare. So it's not something I would recommend a general aviation pilot hopping out of a Cessna and into one of these. You definitely want some transition training. Going from the Chinook into the Beaver was easy. The Beaver is a stupid simple airplane to fly. That's almost one where you could recommend, yeah, you just hop in it and go, you'll be fine. Like it's very, very, don't really, I'm kidding, don't really. But it is very easy to fly. The 701 though, back again towards like challenge or Chinook style flying. The stick forces are really light. It flies different. It doesn't fly like a Cessna. It flies different. It's nimble, it's agile, and anybody who hops into it coming out of a Cessna is going to over control, guaranteed. Okay. So again, you want transition training before you hop into something that's not what you trained in already.
Sure. And I assume this might be a little bit different, being that the slats have been removed and you got the VGs, but still, it is a high lift, high drag airplane. So when you pull the power, you're still pretty much aiming at the ground to get down there.
I like to joke that the throttle is directly connected to the airspeed indicator needle. When I pull the throttle back, the needle goes down.
Okay.
Like right now. Yeah, it's got a lot of drag. So you definitely want to either be pointing at the ground or coming in with engine power.
Okay. So in your adventures, your many flying adventures, and again, I invite everybody to go check out his channel and see he's got several videos out there. What do you think has been the most adventurous trip so far in your Zenith?
Oh, in my Zenith. You know what? It's kind of been anticlimactic in terms of like, wow, that was amazing. I can't believe I did that, because everything that I do, I build up towards. I don't just like go jump into it. But I think
wow, I survived that one.
Yeah, I survived. I didn't even die. It's amazing. One of my favorite things that I've done with it is land at Dave's airstrip. And anybody who's following me on the channel will know who Dave and where his airstrip is. It's 800 feet with obstacles on both sides. And getting the Zenith in and out of there is a challenge. And being able to get that in and out of there and doing it safely I think that's probably the highlight so far. Other than that, landing on the islands and just kind of exploring places I wouldn't naturally explore. I have flown it into controlled airspace. I've flown into Fredericton, which is an international airport. So that was kind of fun. That was a bit of an adventure. But I'd have to say landing at Dave's. That was really cool. I was kind of stoked that I was able to do it. So
nice.
It just shows how capable the plane really is.
Yeah. And what about any other aircraft that you've flown? What's probably the biggest adventure, whether it's the one there or
when I bought the Beaver. So when we bought the Beaver, okay. It was up in Quebec, and it was 150 miles away or so. And instead of disassembling it and driving it back on a trailer like any normal person would do, I thought maybe I would just fly it home. And I ended up in a field because I ran out of gas, and we got a truck stuck in a ditch, and we had to race the sun to get back in time before the sun went down. Like that was an adventure. But again, you know, adventures are only fun when you're done having them, I guess. But you know, it was kind of stressful at the time, but it was super. It's a great story. So, yeah, anything that just kind of happens out of the ordinary is what's super fun, I guess.
Nice. So what type of flying events are up there available to you in Canada? And do you have any intention of coming down to Oshkosh this year, maybe even bringing that?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I cruise at a whopping 80 miles an hour. Like,
Flying.
that would take a week to get out to Oshkosh. I don't think I will fly it to any large events like that. I have flown it around the Maritimes a little bit, and we have a couple of larger air shows and some fly-ins that happen locally that I will take it to. But yeah, we don't really have anything like Oshkosh or Sun and Fun up here in Canada. We just have like your standard, you know, air shows where the snowbirds and thunderbirds and whatever would show up to and do stuff. So nothing as adventurous as Oshkosh or Sun and Fun. But I am planning on coming to Sun and Fun this year. So if you're there, hopefully we can meet up in person, which would be kind of cool.
You're driving down, of course, not flying.
No, I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly, but it'll be in an Airbus or a Boeing.
Oh,
It's
okay. Okay.
not gonna be in Zenith.
Okay. I say if Oshkosh was too far, Sun and Fun would definitely be too far.
But I think they're actually about the same distance away. It's just one is south and one is west. But I don't think that it's that much further to Florida than it is to Oshkosh, is it? Or maybe my
Yeah, I
geography.
mean, if you're right there on the border of Canada, Wisconsin, Oshkosh is right up in your territory. In my opinion, Florida is way, way down there.
I'm gonna look at a map.
Matt is going to look at a map.
Yep.
Awesome. Well,
Uh,
thanks for jumping on with me today. Like I said, I've been following you for some time. You've got a great attitude and a personality for aviation. I see that you are trying to get other people. I saw some of your first flights, so you're getting people introduced into aviation, and I've learned a few things from you. So I just figured I'd bring you on, talk shop, and maybe share your page so you could grow as well. And so yeah, everybody, if you want to go right now over to, I just kind of say Matt on YouTube.
Matt, that's right. Matt with two M's. And I don't know where that came from. I was one of the first YouTube channel, or not channels, but one of the first YouTube accounts, and it was available, and whatever, I'm just gonna do that. I
Yeah.
don't know why. It's stuck, and that's what it's saying.
Yeah. Now you're pushing like almost, I think, 30,000 subs on your followers over there. So you're getting some traction.
Yeah, it's starting to. It's I've been lucky with it so far, but you know, it's just a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I went to school for filmmaking a little bit, and so I always enjoyed making videos. I always enjoyed flying, so it made sense to put the two together. So
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Well, I will put the invite to you and the pressure on once you pull that map out and find out where Wisconsin is to come to Oshkosh and maybe bring your airplane so people could see it and talk shop to you, and some of your followers can meet you in person, because that's always fun.
yeah, absolutely. I went to Oshkosh last year, and I think I ran into one person who had been watching me on YouTube, which was really cool. I think his name was Craig. So if you're watching, Craig, hi again.
Shout out to Craig.
Yeah, you know Craig. You know Craig, right? America Craig.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, and yeah, like I said, I'm coming to Sun and Fun, so yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't wait.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for following along and learning a little bit more about Matt and his airplane and his lifestyle up there in Canada. And we'll see you in the next one.